And so, again, I think this is about growing the economy, creating a tax and regulatory environment in which people who want to earn a living can do so. I just was asked by one of the reporters, he says, you always talk about businesses and you never talk about poor people. Well, the recognition ought to be there that when businesses put people to work, they're putting people to work who need a job.
Right. That's right.
I think Republicans, as I said earlier, we've made lots of mistakes, and sometimes we get branded as the party of big business. I don't know that, I'm always reluctant to say this because I'm not sure how it comes out exactly, but the key is that we ought to be not just for business, we ought to be for a free market system that allows businessmen and women to succeed.
Senator, this is really, Jerry, I know where you stand. I'm not concerned about that. You're a good guy. He's a good guy. No problem. I work for Americans for Prosperity. You know Tim Phillips real well. We've been on conference calls with you and so forth. I work for Americans for Prosperity, and I've been on conference calls with Senator DeMint, and he's always on the right track and the right thing. The one bill that bothers me right now that's in the Senate, and I'd like to know what you think is going to happen with it, and that's this, the bill on the financial regulation type thing. Can you give us an update on that?
Yeah, for those of you who are not aware of it, the Democrats are trying to take over our financial system. The House has passed a financial regulation bill that does not fix the problem. It does not address Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, who created the housing bubble, the whole subprime market. But what it does do is reach down into local communities and overregulate community banks, credit unions, all the way down to the pawn shops. It's another takeover attempt. So it's passed the House, it's in the Senate, it's passed the Senate, we're in conference. It'll probably come out. Has the House passed the final conference version?
No.
Okay, well, it's close to passing. If all the Republicans stuck together, that's what South Carolina said. I don't even think they say that in South Carolina. If we stuck together, we could stop it. We've got 41 votes, but we lost 4 when it came through the first time. So the question is will Americans put some fear in the hearts of those 4 that we don't need to pass it, because this is something we need to say no to.
Who are they, by the way?
I'll let you look at it, but it was Olympia Snowe, Susan Collins, Scott Brown, and Chuck Grassley the first time around. I think some of those could change because the bill has changed. So our hope is that we can stop it. If not, as Jerry said, we've got to have a big election in November and try to delay the implementation until we get a new president.
Jim asked me a question that I didn't hear correctly. His question was, has the House passed the conference report? The answer to that is yes. And so it all is pending now in the Senate, and the death of Senator Byrd is what then creates this additional opportunity for perhaps the conference report not passing the Senate.
Yes.
Do you think the feds will prevail in their suit against Arizona?
No.
I don't think they have a case, but that doesn't mean, really, Arizona has passed a law that says they're going to enforce the federal law. And frankly, if you understand what's going on in Arizona, I mean, it's either the kidnap capital of the world there in Phoenix, or at least second, I think. People are being murdered, drug trafficking, human trafficking. The federal government has not kept its responsibility to protect our borders. I think they have to do that. I hope that they would not lose that suit. As a matter of fact, I hope other states will take a stronger stand on illegal immigration, and that's the best way to get to real reform.
Yeah.
I support the governor and the legislature of Arizona and what they're doing. It's unfortunate they have to, because the primary responsibility of the federal government is to defend our country, including its borders. But in the failure of the federal government to do that, what's going on there is they're protecting property rights and life. That's a responsibility that it strikes me as a terrible circumstance in which our federal government would spend money to keep that from happening as compared to spending the money on enforcing the border. I mean, there's just a much higher priority that we ought to be, instead of litigating, let's work at solving the problem.